So, which is it, David Wick? Is it a drawdown or is it a flush? Why is it that the flushing of all the leachate poisoned waters of Lake George has been referred to as a drawdown when you're flushing a lake, David Wick? That's what I love about New York State political lying sacks of crap like David Wick. They play word games and use word salad. They call the never-ending destruction of the shoreline on Lake George during the winter. They call it drawdown. When every other reservoir operator in the world knows that a drawdown is a flush. So, David Wick, you can call it a drawdown all you want to. You're flushing the lake. You've been flushing Lake George for decades because the sewage from 6,000 septic tanks is catching up on the breaking point of Lake George. That's why the bottom of the lake is green. I used to scuba dive in the lake, David Wick. You know, my parents owned Harris Bay there, the swamp marina, for a decade. And the bottom line is here, Mr. David Wick, the Lake George Association and the Fund for Lake George can make up all the crap they want to, because 6,000 septic tanks in the Lake George Basin, just exactly like old Witham's been saying for many years, 6,000 brownfields. Let's talk about the brownfields. You know, the septic tanks are one thing, Mr. Wick, but let's talk about the leach fields. Where does all that shit go? Does it magically turn into phosphates and nitrates? See, that's another little word game they play on Lake George. They want to call the sewage leachate. They want to call it phosphates and nitrates so the tourists won't stay away. It's all about money, isn't it, David Wick? That's your God. The Federal Reserve note. Lake George Park Association and the New York State Department of Environmental Confiscation. Drawdown? No, folks. Come on, Basil Sagos. Come on, Governor Cuomo. You're flushing Lake George. And all those little piss ants that have their brownfields, their leach fields, their septic tanks all around the lake. The whole lake's just surrounded by thousands of sewage leaking, sewage leaching, sewage draining septic systems. Got photographs of the whole thing. So, David Wick, you're flushing the lake. You can call it drawdown all you want to, David Wick. You're flushing the lake just like a giant commode to dilute the lake, to dilute it as much as possible. You lower that lake level in the wintertime, allowing the power company to suck up the money from converting the hydro into profits. And then, you know, the lake freezes in the snow. And then in the springtime, when the out-of-control rising of the lake levels, because the dam's a piece of shit, your dam is an inadequate, wholly inadequate piece of shit dam, and the spillways. Why do you think the engineers tell you it's 54% inadequate, David Wick? Come on, it's 54% inadequate, David Wick. Basil Sagos, Governor Cuomo, 54% inadequate. Drawdown? Nah, you assholes are liars. It's called flushing the lake. And I said that right. You lying assholes have been flushing the lake for decades, and all the proof and all the information and everything you need to understand that this boy right here, you know, I built skyscrapers, Wick. You think I'm stupid? And Sheriff James LaFar, they're flushing the lake, dude. And you can try to, you know, change it all you want to. They're flushing the lake, James LaFar, because it's full of sewage leachate from 6,000 septic tanks. God damn, you people are freaking crooked. Just like Cuomo. Elise Stefanik is 100% correct. It's nothing but a crime scene. New York State is nothing but a bunch of criminals hiding and destroying the records and refusing to produce them and ignoring the open records law and shutting down the Moreland Commission. That's where the scene of the crime is. When Cuomo decided to shut down the more and more and more and more land commission, how they set up the people in the Adirondacks to have their property stolen. Yeah, the imposition of planning and zoning under the auspices of global warming and protect the pine cones. Yeah, and then all the environmentalists, man, they're all in the business. They're all in the, what do you call it there, environmental tourism business. Come up to the Adirondacks and hike the overused trails and go to the Adirondack Museum and the Adirondack Center and, go to this and go to that and go to Wild Adirondack and walk around in them freaking tree houses they built and, play with the zip lines and go hiking and join the 46ers and buy the hiking boots and the camping tents and go glamping. Come on, you people are such frauds. Total stinking frauds. Ladies and gentlemen, the information in the link should either below. They're flushing all the sewage from Lake George over to the septic tank, Lake Champlain. They're flushing huge amounts of sewage and other rotten shit and crap and piss and industrial waste and agricultural runoffs and everything you can possibly imagine into the big septic tank, Lake Champlain. Jimmy LaFar, old Sheriff LaFar. Flushing or drawdown, Jimmy? That's where we're at, Mr. Sheriff. Is it flushing or is it drawdown? Have a wonderful day, folks.